They named the place where they lived fertile soil in their own language. And on that beautiful morning, the sunrise was like a crown of gold on the young sky as nature's music filled the morning air. And the people of the area, now called Chad, on the continent now called Africa, woke up to receive the sun's rays. They were a gentle and brilliant people. They constantly listened to nature's music and interpreted everything around them with spoken word. That's right, they were an oral culture, which means that they did not write anything down and therefore had to have an excellent memory for all the skills and wisdom to be passed down from generation to generation. All culture and knowledge was passed through orature, as opposed to literature, where everything was written down. An elderly person was like a library, and to speak to a group of elders was something like accessing the internet. The culture of orature allowed the people to be very creative, ingenious, and resourceful. Original ideas energized the group. It was a glorious time. Things weren't always this way for the ancestors of the people of our story. Several thousands of years before this area was a desert, now formerly called the Sahara. It was harsh and devoid of human occupation. Many people traveled in small groups in search of food, water, and shelter. Then over a period of years, the Sahara was swept by monsoon rains, slowly changing the area into a lush and green place. During this time, this area, although it eventually changed back into a desert, became fit to live. Over this enormous green area, the ancestors of the people of our story began to cultivate and plant their food on this land for the first time. This gradual change in lifestyle from nomadic to agricultural was one of the most significant events in the history of civilization. People became farmers, groups settled in one area, and human culture, now confined to villages, forever changed shape. The growth of the communities were nourished by the sharing of ideas, information, and communal wisdom. They knew well that what was not shared was lost. Yes, and they named the place where they lived fertile soil in their own language. And on that beautiful morning, in this vibrant community, and on that land is where the little seed of our story was planted. On that morning, little seed looked up into the sky. Her mouth opened, but she did not speak. And the pupils of her eyes widened as she focused on something she had never seen before. It was broad daylight, and the moon was in the morning sky. Seeing the moon during the day made her feel that time had actually stood still. She thought to herself, it's like the sky. Let the moon meet the sun of the coming day. She tilted her head as if a slightly different visual perspective may help her understand what she just saw. It was at that very moment that little seed had a new idea. She was overwhelmed with joy and excitement. She ran to tell her parents about her new idea. Her family had many children, of which little seed was the youngest. Her family, like many other families, spent the day working, weaving baskets, tanning hides, and tilling the earth shared by the village. Little Seed's father was well known in the village for his great ideas and would take journeys to faraway places to trade goods. Little Seed wanted to very much be like him. That is why she was always thinking and coming up with different ideas of her own. Everyone in her family and throughout the village knew that she had a lot of potential. That is why her sisters and brothers gave her the name Little Seed. That morning, when Little Seed excitedly told her parents about her new idea, they were filled with pride. Little Seed will not be a seed for long, said her mother. Her father gave her a hug and told her, You are a smart little girl. And this idea, well, this idea is wonderful. Little Seed then innocently told her father that she wanted to personally tell the elders about her idea. Despite his obvious enthusiasm about Little Seed's idea, her father frowned. Little girls are not permitted to approach the elders. I must talk to them for you. Little Seed then said that she wanted to tell them herself, just as she knew her father had always done. But her father refused. It is not allowed. Little girls are not permitted to approach the elders. Only men are allowed to share their ideas with them. Needless to say, Little Seed was very disappointed and found it very difficult to accept her father's decision. She was hurt and frustrated. She sat and she sulked as she played with an abacus her mother made for her. An abacus was something like a calculator at that time, and since she enjoyed playing with numbers, she sometimes used the abacus to distract herself when she was upset. Later on that afternoon, Little Seed's mother took her aside and said, "Little Seed, do not sulk. Lift your head and clear your eyes. You must be alert and open to what good things may come." Little Seed smiled at her mother warmly. Her mother continued, "An opportunity will present itself. It always does." Her mother's words warmed her soul, and Little Seed gave her mother a big hug. She knew her mother was especially wise, and that every little thing was gonna be all right.